Hey guys, just thought I'd make a little video here about abortion, Roe v. Wade, and hopefully Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh. I just recently read an article from LifeSite News about why Kavanaugh's biggest opponents are abortion advocates. Uh, this article came out today here, October 2nd, and I'll have a link in the description below. And LifeSite News seems to be convinced that everybody who is against Kavanaugh is some sort of blood-sucking abortion doctor. It's not that black and white, obviously, and this seems to be some sort of I don't know what you would call it. I do agree that a lot of people who are for abortion and killing children, mainly people who are getting money from Planned Parenthood and the government, they definitely would like to see abortion stick around, and they're afraid Kavanaugh might upset that. But the thing we need to understand is that the Republican Party is the main party that is responsible for abortion being legal. Kavanaugh himself has even stated before that he views Roe v. Wade as an important precedent. And what that means in Supreme Court language is that means that it is the law of the land. It was interpreted correctly and it is a precedent. So we should not be looking to Kavanaugh to save us, to be the guy who overturns Roe v. Wade. It's not going to be that easy. The Republican Party was mainly responsible for introducing abortion in California with Ronald Reagan. It wasn't even Reagan himself. He banned guns and he let moms kill babies. And he has some reputation. I don't know why, but they believe Ronald Reagan is the Republican idol, and the average person thinks he was such a great guy. But if you actually look at their voting records, when he was the governor of California, he supported a woman's right to choose whether or not to abort a pregnancy or to carry it to term. And while he might have changed his tune after he was in office, I believe it was only because he found that the vast majority of Americans were not happy with abortion. He found that the average Republican voter identified in some way with the child being aborted rather than with the mother who was burdened, quote unquote, with the child. So we can't just sit back and say, well, Republicans are in, it's going to get fixed, because Republicans have been in power before after Roe v. Wade, and they haven't changed it. They've done nothing to stop it. There's been no attempt to overturn it. There's been really no attempt to stop it. We've seen a few states here and there where they limit abortions. They'll make the abortion clinics, quote unquote, require the same facilities that a hospital or a doctor's office would have. There's certain health codes they have to live up to, which makes it increasingly more difficult to run one of these abortion mills, which is a great thing. Don't get me wrong. Stopping it any way you can is what you need to do. But I attribute that more to the individuals who have been behind the bills than I do the actual Republican Party. And the issue is the Republican Party, if they were to actually stop abortion, if they were to overturn Roe v. Wade and make it murder again like it should be, the Republican Party would no longer have that voting basis. I mean, I know so many people who vote Republican simply because of the abortion issue. And I hear this all the time, especially with Catholics. They'll say, "Well, I can't vote Democrat because they're pro-choice, quote unquote. So I have to vote for the Republicans." And I am not going to doubt for a second that the elite Republicans who run the GOP are that dumb to realize that if abortion was gone, they'd have nothing. And it's very sad to say that that's how cynical I have to be about this situation, because I can't see a reason why it wouldn't have been overturned earlier. And Kavanaugh himself maybe he's just trying to play the game to get in there and not rock the maybe he was trying to avoid rocking the boat, which he did a bang up job of that, obviously. But he doesn't. I believe he has no intention of overturning Roe v. Wade, and I believe that most Republicans have no intention of overturning Roe v. Wade. The only intentions they have are to preserve what political power they have, and to possibly get paid. There's no other reason why they would be doing what they're doing. You see this with lobbyists of all sorts. How many Republican issues are there that will never be solved simply because they're a voting issue that keeps reoccurring? I mean, you could probably count on one hand how many issues the Republicans actually represent for the average person if you get rid of guns and abortion and a few others. I mean, they're traditionally, until Trump came along, they're not concerned with the average American worker. They're not concerned with protectionist trade policies that help me and you, the average guy. They're not concerned with protecting our borders, obviously, because there's no standing army on the border protecting us. But we seem to be very happy with sending our troops, halfway across the world to fight some make-believe ghost enemy that poses no actual threat to the American citizens that live in this country. But they have no qualms with about projecting military force when it suits their interest. They're no different. The average Republican is no different than the average Democrat, as far as I'm concerned, in regards to economic policy, in regards to religion. The average American is a Protestant. The average American believes in Freemasonic ideas such as egalitarianism and autonomy. They don't believe in what we believe as Catholics. The political arena would look so different if it was comprised of Catholics, at least traditional, real Catholics. We can't seem to wrap our heads around the fact that because of modernity, because of these power politics, where we've lost sight of an eternal truth, we've lost fear of God. Honestly, that's the problem. We have people who are willing to sacrifice the lives of others for their own temporal gain in the short run. And the only solace we can have at this point is, God will take care of them. God will sort them out. There's no justice like God's justice, and we have to believe that. We have to believe that with our whole hearts. But what we really need to do to vindicate ourselves, because we belong to this society, we pay taxes that support these guys. What we need to do is speak out, educate people, evangelize, pray, fast, do penance, do whatever you can. There's no way to fight these guys with traditional means. We don't have the ability to actually project propaganda like a massive media company would, and YouTube and Facebook, we've seen with Alex Jones, can be shut down immediately. So anytime that we present a true message, a true interpretation of the narrative, where we call out both parties, saying that they do not represent the interests of the Catholic Church, they do not represent Christ himself's interests, we simply get shut down. I'm expecting it at some point with this channel. I mean, it's going to happen. I'm talking about things that I shouldn't talk about, apparently, but we don't have the same means of adding to the narrative to convince people that we're right. And until we do, there's not much that we can do to stop this massive attack on the church and on traditional morality. But what we do know is that there is no overarching political entity that agrees with us, that supports us. There are a few fringe ones here and there that we might ally with because they might have something to offer us. But the Republicans, no, don't think they're your saviors. They're not. They're there to make money. They're there to protect their power and interests. They're not there to stop abortion. They're not there to stop wars. We know that. They're not there to help us become more independent and self-sufficient. They're not here to stop globalism. They're here to promote it. They would love nothing more, I would guess, than to shut down the Catholic Church in America, simply because the amount of political power that the Pope can carry. You saw this with JFK when he was around. Republicans were the ones saying that Catholics should not be allowed to be president because of a conflict of interest. You can see it with the Klan. Democrats were were huge in the Klan as well as Republicans, uh, and the average American didn't consider Catholics to be, quote unquote, white people until I probably still don't. I mean, the WASP, the White Anglo-Saxon Protestant, is the driving force of America. Unfortunately, America is not for us, and we have to find some way to band together and help each other out, because we can't expect any help from the political sphere until we have a party that represents us.